I'll keep doubling, you keep bluffing, you've got nothing, I'll keep hustling.
Right, guys, as you know, the saying is, if there's blood in the streets, you need to buy. But we always say, buy when there's blood in the streets, just wait for them to stop shooting first. So we had a hectic week. So Monday, we were talking about the Puell multiple, and I used that to show you how we are roughly at the height of the bear market rally in relation to some on-chain analysis comparing the previous cycle to where we are now, and that we are about to go and maybe do one last hoorah to the upside, and then also what we then took a look at as CPI data on Tuesday, and how that could potentially impact the FOMC data. So the CPI data came out positive, PPI data came out positive, and we got what they wanted for the FOMC. So basically, they didn't raise the rates. So we had the FOMC meeting and rates not raised, but as I explained to you guys, that the real worry and the real big woe that we're going to have is when the bull market potentially is going to end, is when the Fed pivots and it stops raising rates. Now, historically, if we look at the stock market, when the Fed decides to pivot, not pause, pivot, starts decreasing the rates, that's when the real pain comes, guys. So that is the pain that we are hoping to avoid for now. So those things considered, if we look at where we are now, the next time, July, that the FOMC is going to sit, there's already speculation that they will be raising the rates ever so slightly. So the idea is that they're raising, but slowly, which means they knit one, skip one, knit one, skip one, that type of an analysis. Okay, so that being said, the DXY. Now, why the hell am I bullish? I'm saying buy, there's blood on the streets, wait for them to stop shooting, and for most people, it just feels like they just keep on shooting. So why the hell am I so bullish? Well, I explained to you guys a while ago that the DXY was reaching its simplest retail type resistance, okay? And then what I also showed you, and I can actually delete some of these crazy lines, make it just a little bit cleaner for you. And then what I also showed you guys is that there's hidden bearish divergence at the height of the trend line. And that then means that when the DXY normally goes down, Bitcoin does well. Now, subsequently, the DXY has returned down. We had stock markets do well. Let's bring them up. We had the Dow Jones do well. Look at that. Whoops. We had the S&P do well. Look at that. Whoops. And then what the hell happened to Bitcoin? It didn't play with the rest of us. It went down, and it's still going down. And that kind of correlated with the NASDAQ. So what did I say to you guys yesterday? When we looked at the NASDAQ, I said, listen, this gap down is going to give us on the weekly our strong bullish divergence for the NASDAQ. So look at that as a positive. Look at that as a bullish signal. So yes, we did get everything we wanted to be bullish for this week. So that being said, let's see why the alts are going to move. I'm going to be very brief, and then we're going to be throwing some alts at you guys. Today is going to be alt day. So guys, make sure to send me some alts in the comments. I'll try and get to as many realistically possible for you today. And while we add that, just as a reminder, please hit that like, help spread the content, give me a comment. It really helps knowing where you're at, what I need to look for, and what content I need to create. And then ultimately hit that notification bell. We are dropping educational videos as well soon again. And you want to know when they're going, when they get dropped live. Okay, so that being said, let's look at Bitcoin. So nothing has changed other than the fact that the rate hike pause is a real advantage for crypto. And I'm still holding on to that. And the nice thing now is price is really coming down on the weekly time frame, which is giving us our hidden bullish divergence, which is the right divergence. We are looking for continuation divergence, when price makes a higher low and the oscillator makes a lower low. Okay, so All good Bitcoin, all good stock market. NASDAQ and Bitcoin just kind of needs to catch up with the rest of the stock market. That's the prognosis for now. Now, let's talk altcoins, because the argument now is if we have this, we want to be buying maybe some alts, but the alts just got smashed. They got thrashed. Some of them are making all-time lows. So at the lowest point where Bitcoin was 15K, this wasn't as cheap as that. So what the hell is happening there? So, and this creates an insane negative sentiment. People are going through anger or potentially even depression, where the feeling is that this is over. Let's bring this up, make it a little bit bigger. There, depression, where the feeling is it's potentially over. My retirement money is lost, and I was an idiot. There's all sorts of versions of this, but this is now when we need to start taking action, guys. We really need to start taking action, and this is the reason why. So I'm going to bring up this little bit of a chart quickly, and then we're going to look at the alts, the ones that we should be taking action on. Because remember, as I always said, there's basically three things you need to know when you want to trade. You need to be able to look at fundamentals. Fundamentals gives you your why. Why am I buying this? Is this a good project? Is it undervalued? Because if I can understand whether it's undervalued to in relation to its price, I know whether it's a bargain or not. So that's what fundamentals does. Technical analysis is the heart of what we're trying to do here, but technical analysis only measures risk. That's the only goal of technical analysis. People try to study technical analysis on the idea that if I know enough about TA, I can guarantee the outcome. It doesn't work that way. You just measure risk. And then finally, timing. And that's what I'm trying to talk to you guys now today. We've done the TA, we've done the fundamentals. We're looking at the timing part of it. It is knowing when to act, because without the correct timing, technical analysis and fundamental analysis means nothing. Okay. Right. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to bring back my chart. So if we look at where we are in relation to the bigger picture and the bigger play of things, what I have here on the top right-hand side of my screen is Bitcoin on a line chart. And there's the 2019, 2018 all-time high, 19K BTC. And then that was the ultimate low. And what I've done is I just layered in all the emotions from the emotional market cycle. I just layered those in there. Okay. And then what I also have done, if we zoom out ever so slightly, I can even make it bigger real quick for you guys. I've laid in the halving. So you'll have halving 2, you'll have halving 3, and so forth. And we're still waiting for halving 4 somewhere over here. So now that we've got a little bit of a scope of where we are within the cycle, you can see there's this second halving. This white line is the third halving, okay? We are worried about what we need to do, because if you look at from, not this line, sorry guys, the red line. I just want to, that's not the third halving. There's the third halving. We are sitting in a situation where within this price action, there has to be a test of the lows for Bitcoin. That's what we need to do. We just need to go test the lows for Bitcoin before we can cross the halving for Bitcoin, which is only going to be in 2024, and before we're going to potentially have another bull rally. That's it. So now all we need to do is not get wrecked here. That's the goal. If we can get it right, things will be okay in a year or two's time. Okay, so that's the idea. Now, if I take that and I lay the dominance into it. Now, the reason why I use the dominance is I want to see whether I'm going to be making more money being in Bitcoin or whether I can look for alts. And if I then bring the dominance chart up and I line it up with Bitcoin at that stage, you can see these teal blue lines, they are lining up the chart so that you can see what the dominance was in relation to the price at that specific time. There we go. So now you can see what happens is, when we bottom out in Bitcoin, we then have a big rally for Bitcoin. Great, amazing. And then what happens is the dominance rallies as well, which means when we bottom out, the dominance rallies as Bitcoin goes up. Not fun for the alts, especially the granddaddy alts, the older alts, the big cap alts. They're not doing well at this stage, okay? But then once Bitcoin which is then lateral trapped. It's at a top, creates a top range. There's a top range. It gets lateral trapped. Let's put a 50% fib on that line. Once Bitcoin is laterally trapped, that is when it goes up, the alts, the dominance starts moving down. So it gives the alts a time to actually do something. So Bitcoin is at a real low. It looks extremely scary. It starts going up. Let's make that bigger. It starts going up. And then the dominance drops. Let's bring the dominance in. Maybe I should just leave it as is. Otherwise, it's just going to get confusing. And then the dominance drops. Okay. And that plays out. This is a week. That plays out over 2 months, guys. So here it looks insignificantly small. It's not important. But this is 2 months worth of price action. Okay. So now here we are today. Same. Now we have a new all-time high. There's the previous halving. We're holding on for the next halving. Okay. And I'm going to just line up the charts again. Bring the dominance into play, okay? And what are we doing? Bitcoin is in similar holding pattern now. Bear market rally, okay? Just like we had over there, bear market rally, bear market rally. It's laterally trapped, okay? And the argument is, next push up, will the dominance go up or come down? And this brings the dominance into picture. If we look at this and we zoom into dominance, and I'm just going to make this nice and big so we can see what's happening. You can see the dominance is making higher highs, but look at the RSI making lower lows. This is strong bearish divergence. A reversal divergence, guys. This is the type of divergence that will stop a bull market in its tracks, okay? So now, getting back to this chart, in conclusion, there we go. In conclusion, realistically, we're on our way to our next halving, like we were in 2019 going to 2020 halving. Okay, we're on our way. The market rhymes, never repeats. Don't look don't look at these lines and say they have to look at exactly like these candles, like these lines. Doesn't make sense. But what it will do is it will create the same sequence of events. Last ditch push up makes everybody say, okay, see, I shouldn't have been bearish at the bottom, and then traps them for the shakeout, really destroys them, and then we go. So we are looking for what? We need to go up potentially, and this time around going higher, because we still need to test the bull market top highs, top lows, which was there. There was the bull market top lows. Okay, so we still need to go and test that. That's why I'm saying this time is going to look a little different. But then from that point onwards, Bitcoin is going to go down. It's going to screw with everybody again. And it's at that stage, it's here where we want to get out. And it's this run that I want to do with the dominance breaking downwards that's going to tell me that the alts are going to be powerful. Okay, right. So those alts. So I sent out a tweet a little bit earlier. And I said to everybody, guys, these are a couple of coins I think are worth buying today. So we looked at ADA, Link, Phantom, Litecoin, Dot, EGLD, and ETH. If there's any coin you want, Alex Ramsey said Phantom, just Phantom. So if there's anything else that you think is worth buying, leave me a comment in the YouTube or actually get over to my Twitter. I'll go check them out. I don't mind doing that for you guys. So these are the ones that I'm interested in, and this is why. So I'm going to start off with, this is a list of coins. I went through all these coins. Well, I maybe skipped here and there a few, but the idea, I pretty much about 75-80% went through them. And these are the ones that I think, all these with these color tags to the side, I think is really worth looking at. So the first one on that list, I think, was Link. Let me just move it here so I can remember the sequence. We actually looked at Cardano first. So I spoke to Cardano and about Cardano with you guys in the beginning of the week. And I think it's still worth It's still worth hammering this in. The argument was because Bitcoin has now reached the bottom, because the dominance is telling me it wants to break down, because the dollar index is breaking down, because the stock market's going up. It's telling me that because of all these factors, and with the fact that we've got the strong bullish divergence on these alts, the trend reversal divergence, it's telling me that now is the time. I can actually delete this photo here. Now is the time that these alts will bottom. Okay? And that's why we need to start getting in on them. So how much do you buy and how do you buy? Well, simply put, this is your buy zone. This is a spot investment. This is a long-term investment buy. It is not a get-in leveraged up to your eyeballs buy. That's the goal. And what do we want to do? Well, we can actually look at Phantom as a really good example. When Bitcoin was at 15K, I was screaming to everybody, buy Bitcoin, buy Phantom, 15K. Okay? And that's what was happening. And you can see that this is your strong bullish divergence, a trend reversal divergence. Okay. And we were looking at this specific chart at that stage, and I said, there's a really good area to buy. That's your buy zone. And what happened with Phantom? Within that buy zone, we went there 1, 2, 3 times. And then from that point onwards, look at these blue candles. Because we're breaking trend, what does it mean? We need to go make a higher high. Now, is that the high? Is that the high? Is that the high? I would conservatively say, at minimum, that was the higher high, because we're now no longer trending down. The bears need to lose. And that's what happened. We made a higher high, and now we're coming to test to do what? Make a higher low. And that is now met with the same as Bitcoin and Ethereum, a hidden bullish divergence, meaning we're making a higher low. We can't make lower lows anymore. If we do, everything I said here has been disproven as wrong. It's thrown out. We need to rethink it. Okay. And so the argument is, now that we're making this hidden bullish divergence, now is the time where there will be a continuation of this trend. And for Cardano, dead in the water, forgotten fish. Okay, it's time now to go through the same. We're at that bottom. We've got that divergence. So now the goal would be what? To at least go make a higher high. And if I look at this then, and I'm conservative, I'm buying that and I'm giving myself a nice berth. I mean, I'm risking 20% to make 70%. So if I've got $1,000, just some common sense risk management, I can't lose 20% on that. That's just stupid. But if I've got $1,000 to buy on this, what I can do is I can spend $150 today and say, right, I can lose 20% on $150, and it will be closely the same as losing 3% on $1,000, which means if this thing goes up 70%, I'm only making 70% on $150, not on $1,000. Yes, I'm not running to the bank that much, but my risk management was in check. But what happens? Let's go back to Phantom really quick. What happens when you get these buys? Well, you start getting structure. The market gives you structure where you can add in for the bigger run. So it's not like it's going to be one candle and then the next candle there. It's going to give you structure. There's going to be resistance there. It's going to come back down. There's a lot that's going to happen, and that's when you deploy the rest. That's the timing factor that I've been talking to you guys about. That's when you need to be patient. You get in, you ladder yourself in, buy a little now, make note of what you want to do later, wait for those conditions to be there, and act decisively. Okay. Right. So now let's move on. I want to finish up in 5 minutes. So I'm going to go on to the other coins now. GLD, Elrond. Okay, same thing now. Elrond now has made strong bullish divergence, lower low in price, higher low in the RSI. Okay, great. Bitcoin's going to go test the bear market, the top of the bull market lows, okay, which is there. So I assume that Elrond will be having a go at that as well. That's the assumption. My conservative take profit will be around 54. So the argument is buy this area on the notion that you're buying a 50% of the wick, a demand zone buy, okay? And your goal would be to do this. Target these lows as a beginning. I mean, that's 76%. That's really good. Do I honestly feel like this is the type of market emotion that's going to do 250%? I don't know. Something crazy might happen in the news. And then if that happens, you be so lucky and enjoy it. But if it doesn't, 70%, around 53, that's going to be your initial TP. Okay. Your risk to this is at this stage 11%. So again, diversify your portfolio and then take the budget that you would have assigned and only use the correct amount to ensure that if you get stopped out, if this is wrong, you only lose 3% on that amount. Okay. Now, if you want to know a little bit more, what I've done is I've actually started to load all the educational content in our Discord. So in the video link, just head over to our Discord. You're going to find a lot of that in the Discord as well. And I will show that to you a little bit later. Before we move on, I just want to say a real quick thanks to Bybit, our channel sponsor, guys. Link and the benefits that you can have opening your own Bybit account there in the video description. The biggest potential advantage that you can have if you want to open your own Bybit account is this. Heading over to the Discord, you'll find that there's 3 levels of Discord activity. This is boring because it's just the public stuff. There's a little bit of chat, we banter, we talk about stuff. But other than that, there's not a lot of real juice in there. So what you need to do is you need to head over and you actually need to go and unlock level 2 access. All you need to do to unlock level 2 access is actually open a Bybit account with us, or if you have done it, just verify your Bybit account and your access will be granted. Basically, what's going to happen is your Discord's going to turn into this. So now all of a sudden, more channels are going to become available. This is the trade group. This is where the real conversations is happening in the Discord. There's education, there's Lee's charts, there's my charts, there's my Wyckoff education in there, and a lot more. So that is what Bybit does for you. So open your Bybit account, and other than the first time deposit bonuses that they also give you access to, and it's not expiring. So you'll have access to the Discord level 2 indefinitely. Okay, so guys, that's a really good deal. Okay, now let's get back to altcoins. I see there's a lot here in the list as well. I see Solana. I see Rune Theta. Please comment on Tether volatility. Okay, I'll see if I can get to that. And I see Flux and Render and another Rune and Theta. So Rune and Theta is really in high regard at this stage. I'll try and get to all of them. Okay, so we've looked at Phantom, we've looked at EGLD, we've looked at Cardano, and I just want to share the link with you guys. Peter, just let me know how many likes are there in the comment. 66 viewers, 22 likes. Come on, guys. We've got about 80 live viewers. Please do me a solid. I never used to press the like button until I'm on this side of the camera. So people need it. We're on this side, we do need it. Just give us a like there. I really appreciate that. And if you don't like anything, drop it in the comments. That's how I fix it. Okay, so let's have a look at DOT. I want to have a look at DOT real quick. So DOT was big. In the beginning of the previous bull market, DOT really had everybody dripping at what this is going to bring to us. Because what DOT did was it basically said that it is going to give us a parachain network, which means blockchains are going to be able to talk to blockchains, and it's amazing, and it's going to do a lot of things. So DOT came out, it was $300 a DOT. And then they hyper deflated themselves, meaning they gave you 100 times what you had in DOT to bring the price down to $3 instead of $300 a DOT. And that's kind of where DOT started. So there's a little bit of previous DOT chart here, which is up there in the top that everybody has now neglected. But that being said, that's just an interesting backstory. Now where we are now, look at where DOT is. Now this is the problem with some of these things. It just nearest makes no difference. I could potentially go to a different exchange and I will find a different wick there. But if I look at that RSI, that is giving me a lot of strength. And because that's as close as can be to a lower low, I'm going to be optimistic today as opposed to, skeptic because of the way that I'm looking at the market. So DOT is giving us that same setup. So guys, simple. Hit your fib on that wick. Get your half level where it's at now and just be conservative with your stop. Measure your risk. We're frenemies. What does this mean? Don't put your stop on that line. I'm not going to. I'm going to hide mine where I think you're not going to put yours. Because in the end of the day, when it comes to stop limits and it comes to take profits, we're against each other. I'm not your friend. I'm telling you where you should start thinking about putting your stop. Your job is to make sure that your stop is where nobody else is. You need to hide it from the order book and you need to hide it from the market makers. Okay. And then if we look at DOT thing, same thing now, just like Phantom. Phantom went all the way up to these levels over here. That was Phantom's level. That was insane for Phantom. So it went all the way into this area. So if we get this bounce, if we get this Bitcoin move, what's going to happen with DOT? Well, DOT's going to have it's going to at least try to do that. It's going to at least try to do that, guys. So that is really bullish. So DOT is on the list that I think is going to potentially do well. Now, here's a few more. Let's quickly see what we've got on your guys' list here. Here's a few more. On the screen, all the coins that's marked with green has got the same divergence. Alice, AVAX, Badger, Bake, BAT. You can screenshot this and go through all of them. They all have the same divergence. I mean, Dodo, what the hell's up with Dodo? But look at that. Look at the strength in that RSI. Look at the weakness in the price. This is telling me that Dodo is no longer what? Cheap. It's undervalued, guys. There's a time to go and look at that. Use Bitcoin and Bitcoin's rising tide momentum. If that thing starts going up, these projects are going to do well. The dominance should break down and they should give us considerably good gains. Okay, now let's have a look at your requests. Let's quickly take a few requests. I'm going to start with Omi. I don't think Omi is on this list. So I'm going to have to get Omi. Let's quickly go and have a look at Omi. I'm just going to set this to crypto. I'm looking at spot and Binance gives me just more spot data. That's why I go and look it over there. This is OMG though. So I'm going to have to take away Binance. Otherwise, I'm not going to get it. So Omi, I'll get it on OKX. This is good. So let's have a look at Omi there. So Omi's making lower lows. So from an investor point of view, hit the line tool on. You can see this thing's clearly trending down. Okay. So we are looking for strong bullish divergence to even remotely start saying to ourselves that there's a potential that Omi can turn up. Okay. And then we want to see whether there's momentum that supports that. So now if I look at this, where's my pivot? Hit the line tool. While I show, I teach, guys. That's just the way I work. So there you go. You can see there's a pivot there. There's a pivot there. And ultimately, we've got a pivot here now. So the argument is on the biggest swing, there's a wave, there's a wave, there's a wave, there's a wave. And this is all part of one wave. So that pivot, I'll ignore. Okay. So this is the area that I'm interested in. And this is the area that I'm interested in and where we are now because it's making a lower low. That pivot, if I want to look at that, that's my trading pivot. This is not investment. This is talking big picture now. Okay. So now let's just take away a little bit of my brush squibbles and put the candles back on and let's have a look and see what we've got here. So clear lower low. Let's see what the RSI is doing. So Basically what it's telling me, it's going to bounce because when we look at this range here, there's potential there. I'll go deep dive it in, but it's still trending downwards. So I would rather be looking at another project for the next run. Doesn't mean that it won't go up. It potentially will go up if Bitcoin goes up, but it's going to be limited. It potentially will then just do this, hover around this area. It's not ready. It's not fully accumulated. Looking at this, we've got a higher low in the RSI, higher low in price. Nothing worth trading there for me now. That's just that. Let's quickly have a look at AR. I actually looked at it earlier today, and AR is definitely a stay away coin for me. There we go. Same thing. Lower low on the RSI. You don't need a lot from technicals. Remember now, technical analysis, we're not looking at it fundamentally. We're looking at it from a risk point of view. Risk is bad, so therefore the timing doesn't make sense. I don't care about the timing. Okay. Let's have a look at render real quick. REND. What's the time now? 30 minutes is about time that we need to end. Render, RND. Let's do it this way. It should be quicker. There we go. Render. What are we doing now? We're coming to test the lows. We're about to, okay. As a trade, this is good. So we're going to try and stay there. So the thing about render, what you can do though is you can be quite aggressive on render because your invalidation, your risk from today onwards is going to be to try and stay above that area. If it breaks that, it's just going to signal to everybody that it's over. This is the top. Render is going to potentially on the next push up for Bitcoin, hover around this area until ultimately it's going to move down. So that is what you have. So it's a very tight stopped trade. And if it does, this is the area. So remember now where most of the alts are going to go to. You're going to go to their previous support range. That's the goal there. So it's tight. Render is not that bad, I have to say. Okay. Let's quickly go through a few more. There's a few more a little bit earlier. How many likes do we have, Peter? 35 likes. Come on, guys. Give me a couple more likes. Then we'll do 2 more coins. Let's go back to the comments. Then there was, let's quickly see. I sorted you out. Dennis, I'll give you a Solana real quick. Should always just make sure to click on something before I just smash the button. Solana. Okay, so Solana, the argument is it's still trending down. I actually wanted to snip the video on YouTube where we begged you guys to sell your Solana. Look at this. We begged. Sell your Solana. It's time. That's what divergence does. It gives you that false sense of it's never going to break. And yes, you've got the divergence, and you see what happened. The retrace didn't lose the support. So let's clean this up. So the retrace, when that bottom was created, make it a little bit bigger. When that bottom was created, we didn't go below where the previous pivot was. So it was still okay to ignore, not ignore it, but trade the momentum. But the second time around, when that divergence kicked in, what happened? The wave entered and went below this point, these 2 pivots. And that's your cue to short. So if you don't have tools to get the short there, that's your cue to short. Boom. Okay, so now let's have a look at this now. We're looking for the opposite of that for Solana. It's not doing it. It's still just trending down. This thing's like OMI. Okay, so it is going through what Cardano did. Remember, Cardano was the highest, hypiest thing around in the beginning of the bull market, for those that were here. ADA, if you had anything to do with ADA, you're going to be well set for the rest of your life. ADA went from a fraction of a cent, 0.01, and it went to, where was it? $3. Look at what ADA did for people. 16,000% in a year's time. That's insane, okay? Now, if you think about Solana, same thing. So Solana is now going through the same flu as ADA. It's going to its winter. The only difference is Cardano is now already finding a floor. Solana hasn't quite done that yet. Okay, guys, 35 minutes in. There's so many more, and I would love to get to each and every one of you guys. I'll take a note of this. Let's continue this tomorrow, because why do we still have time? Remember this. There's still 3 days away before this weekly closes, guys. So anything and everything I'm saying is leaning onto the idea that this weekly divergence has to get locked in. If we rally today and we end up there, it's exactly like last week. Then we're going to have to wait another week. Okay, so keep that in mind. So there, I just answered you. When do we buy? You buy when it's in the buy zone, but you understand that there is the risk and that things can still be hairy and choppy within the next 3 days. There's no comfortable buy zone, guys. That's the thing about techno. The time is now. The reality, though, is that you run the risk. You need to measure this and manage this, meaning grab some. Don't throw your house mortgage money into this. Wait for these type of signals to really start throwing money at it. That's all. Just be responsible in the way that you act. Okay. Privacy coins, they've taken a knock. Yes, privacy coins have taken a knock. But remember, the problem that we have with privacy coins is that they face insane regulations, because they do exactly what the government does not want crypto to be, in a way that I can move money without anybody knowing. Now, when that regulation gets cleared up, privacy coins are going to be the key, because this is how large institutions are going to enter the crypto market through these things, because they don't want to show their hands. They're competing. So it's just getting the regulators into a point where when these big players come in, the privacy coins are going to be the key to it. So the time for them to shine is coming, my friends. RWAs, real world assets, coins that's linked to real world assets, going to be the way that these large institutional money is going to start entering. And they're going to do it through privacy coins. So just remember that. It's dead now. I agree with you, but their time will come. Okay, guys, I want to say thanks to each and every one of you guys for joining in. We will continue this a little bit further onwards. The charts on the coins that I did share today will also be available on my Twitter, and that will then indefinitely also be sent into the Discord. Head over to the Discord, get your Bybit account, and unlock the level 2 access and start talking to us. You know what's beautiful about that? Bots can't get there. So it's relatively safe in comparison. You can't get scammed with scam projects and scam shit being shared with you. Okay. Guys, I want to say thanks. Enjoy your Thursday. And as always, keep hustling.